Oops. Well, hmm. Hello? Are we live? I don't know what to do.
We appear to be having some technical difficulties. If I can be heard, Mal is needing to do a little relog, I believe, in order to get himself back in the call. Hang with us. We'll get there. You know, it's a long weekend, and the technical gremlins always have a good time on long weekends.
All right. I see Petlove, Dizzy, Mal, and Tara. Yeah, I would do that if because it doesn't look like he's on. Or did he make the phone call? Okay. Who has the most stable connection? I did save the group. But why don't you? I'm going to let you do all the calling in because I don't. Let me see. Right. Okay. Is he talking? Oh.
Well, I tell you, yeah, why did I do that? Why don't I just go ahead and give you some news on my list, and then when Mal gets himself reorganized and reestablished, then uh, he can jump back in and probably we can repeat ourselves as since normally we don't have a chance to compare notes before we do the show. So so there's always the who gets to the items first. But anyway, welcome everyone to a somewhat disorganized launch for this week's Metaverse Week in Review show. I'm Tara Yates, and normally I would be being introduced by Mal Burns, who usually launches things. But today he's a little bit off off with technical issues, and we'll get him back here any minute. Anyhow, well, I think this week's big events are actually Inworld big events with the Home and Garden Expo launching on Friday, which is the next in the spring series major Relay for Life events leading up to the to the relay weekend. Um, and that opened on Friday and runs all week and is both home and garden. And also joining it this year is the Breedables uh, part of the expo. And as you will see, if Petlove zooms in on either arm of my chair, I have one of each gender of this year's. Oh yeah, just what I always needed is a firestorm crash in the middle of all this. Ah yes. Anyway, on either arm of my chair while I'm recovering from a the kitties will have to cover for me while I recover from a crash. Uh,
Yeah.
I, I think he asked me to call him in, so I'm trying to call him.
yes. Yeah, well, I can talk about the kitties. Yes, these are this
Okay.
year's Kitty Cats Relay for Life kitty cats that are generating dollars for Relay for Life. Um, the pink one is obviously the female, and they are covered with 100 footprints, which are all different and all related to cancer and cancer recovery and survivorship and um, thoughts of those we've lost, which is a very cool touch. And of course, if you know kitty cats, you know that they actually have heart-shaped paws and then fingers, so you can see those up close there. Let's try my last location here and see how fast I can get back in. Anyway, so yeah, the pink one is the girl, and the blue one on the other arm of the chair is the boy. Um, they are very pretty, and these are babies. These I just picked them up yesterday and unboxed them, so they'll get to be full sized
Oh, she just
kitty cats.
disappeared.
And I just disappeared, so I'll be back in here in just. It's not my call. I think it's Mal's call. So I would think he can rejoin it himself. He should be able to. Or once he's back, he may have. I'm not sure. He's in World, so
Huh.
anyhow, so Relay for Life, and the other thing, the Second Life 10th birthday anniversary shindig invitations to exhibitors have gone out over the course of this week, and today is the big day when those who are exhibitors can get their invites to the group so they can get in and start building. So that kicked off at noon, and any of us who happen to be also on the SL10B birthday build have been getting flooded with please please let me in the group notices, since that opened just half an hour ago. And I know from previous years that this tends to be pretty silly that first few hours that those those invites are going out and everybody wants to get in at once. So anyway, so there's that going on this week as we go into the long weekend in at least the U.S. and the U.K. And I have a third friend who's sitting on the floor here. I seem to be kind of having a good time introducing you to various critters. And this is a frog. This is a follow animal. This isn't a breedable. But Manticore is the store, and the builder there is doing some fabulous work with animated mesh. And as you can see by this frog, he breathes and he kind of moves around. I also got a small dragon, but he's a little big for the stage.
I love him.
The dragon is very cool, and he's got some big dragons as well as. I mean, this is not the dragon I got is a baby, but it's just doesn't quite fit on the stage without either putting it on the ground or moving it. So it does. So I'm afraid you're going to have to live with the frog today. It's pretty
Oh,
cute.
I love the frog.
I do too. I think. Well, yeah, I suppose I could put him up there. Yeah, the neat thing about them is that you can move them around. You can reposition them relative to your avatar. But he's got a whole lot of different critters. Petlove, he's got a rabbit. Yeah, you'll probably have to go take a look. I just I happened to stumble on somebody who had the follow cat who happens to be a Siamese and is very cool looking too. Um, I well, I don't know. I suppose you could position it so it was watching TV. Um, and anyway, while I was visiting a sim that was the only suggestion that was made thus as of today, in response to a post that in Hamlet's blog this week, where he made a request for suggestions of what's the most amazing or interesting Second Life content New World Notes hasn't covered yet, was the header. And interesting how little response there's been to that so far. Yes, sure. Okay, sure. Okay. It is not my
Right.
call. No,
All right.
No.
no, it was Mal's call. It was Mal's call.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
We will be right back on air, folks. Stand by.
Hello. Testing, testing.
Yeah, I think we're back.
And then we need Dizzy.
Okay.
Dizzy's here.
Yeah, I just now see. Yeah, it looks like it's like hung up. Maybe. Oh.
Hmm. Okay, well, let me just kind of continue with what I have because I'm still got some items. I can do that while
Turn
oh,
your lips back on. Uh,
okay. Yes, there we go. Sorry. Oh, yes. You know, this is great fun for our audience who's hearing all kinds of
turn your
back channel chatter that you normally don't hear. Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, so yes, that's I discovered that the frog was a discovery from following a link, and I can't remember now the name of the sim that was mentioned, which is very cool too. But anyway, I ran across the cat attached to another avatar, and then I ended up buying that instead. So that got me going. Anyway, okay. There are a couple of interesting things caught my attention that are not quite absolutely virtual world related, but definitely have connections with an area that's been has had a lot of attention in virtual worlds, and that is education using various tools on the web. And a couple of things I ran into. There was a HP was a co-sponsor for something called Catalyst Summit that just took place the end of April in Brazil. That included 120 delegates from over 65 organizations in 16 countries that came together as a learning community and they had 3 days of roundtables, workshops, panels, face-to-face collaboration and networking and this was education leaders from around the world. It was interesting to me the items that they came up with as kind of four big ideas related, and this is particularly related to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, which is called collectively STEM. But the four big big ideas that they came up with were to transform education, teachers must be agents of change, not objects to be changed. I think that just, that one just really resonated for me as a significant one.
Right.
Second, global collaboration is a powerful catalyst for education transformation. And in the course of the conference, they covered a number of areas where this has been the case. Third point was technology is truly transforming student success and opportunity. kind of somebody from the IFC World Bank noted students who aren't the good students, quote around good, in a traditional environment become great students. And some success stories around particularly outreach to kids who don't have access normally to computers, who don't have, low income and what have you. A program in Rio de Janeiro that focused on underprivileged youth and enhancing their English language, technology, and hospitality skills so they're ready to meet the world when it comes to their country for the 2014 World Cup
Yes.
and the Olympics in 2016. So that was very interesting. And then the third big idea, a fresh approach for professional development and teacher recognition is required for scaling education innovations, which I think really ties back in with that first point of transforming education and seeing teachers as agents of change, not objects to be changed. And connected with that, coming up this week, there's if you want more on that, let's see if I got a link. Yeah. The link is, I should comment, the HP Catalyst group has started an academy and is doing that was launched at the conference, and they're debuting mini courses online in June with topics including such things as digital fabrication, social media for STEM education, how to flip your STEM classroom in environmental science in action. It's Catalyst, www.catalyst-academy.org for information. And also of interest, if you happen to be in kind of that group of STEM teachers, is the Academy is calling for proposals for the next round of fellows to develop free mini online courses for other STEM teachers. It's competitively selected organizations will receive a $16,000 US grant from HP to support innovative educators to serve as fellows. So proposals are due by July 8th. And if you go to the catalyst-academy.org website, you can follow the links from there to find out more about that if it happens to fit where one of your hats is. Okay, let's see. Yes. NRPA is my main go-to source for kind of keeping up to date on what's coming out of Second Life on the geeky side of stuff. Amongst other things, the item that caught my attention this week, other than the fact that I think some things got held up because of some issues that they rolled out in the test grids last week that caused them to have to do some bug fixes. And as any of us who've been in World this weekend know, there's bugs. But anyway, this is something that's been added in the project and beta viewers, and that is the ability to have there's a check mark indicating that whether or not you're willing to have automatic updates to release candidate. It's an option. When a viewer is believed to be of release quality, it will be put into a release candidate, which will be released to a chosen number of users, a limited number. If you check the option, then you're indicating you're willing to be part of that group. It doesn't mean you will be. It just means you're willing, depending upon whether luck of the draw you end up in the number that they want to test it. The setting is in Preferences under Setup, and look for software updates on that tab. And that's in project and beta viewers only. It's not in the main viewer. So if you're into fiddling with the new viewers as they roll those out, especially as they move now towards having multiples of those and multiple release candidates floating around to speed up the process of getting things actually into serious use, keep watch for that particular item. And let's see. Oh yes, from the OpenSim World, big announcement this week. The first annual OpenSim Community Conference will be 7th and 8th of September. It will take place in an OpenSim. They're setting a limit of 150 to 200 attendees, and this is a 100% virtual conference, so that's part of it. And tickets will be free during June. The aim is to reach 200 and then hold it there as far as being able to actually attend the Inworld events. And it will also be live streamed on Ustream. So if you don't sign up or you don't get on the list early enough, you'll still be able to catch stuff via Ustream. They are currently also taking speaker signups, volunteers, and all of that information is at conference.opensimulator.org. No www in the front of that one. Conference.opensimulator.org is the URL for that. And the last item I have on my list, and I'm seeing action from Mal's speech bubble. I don't know if Mal's back yet. Okay. Okay, last item I have on my list. I hope I see Mal's bubble light up here, so I can throw it back to him, or we'll just start batting things around. Very interesting LEA build that opened this week that I'm definitely interested in going over and seeing, called Da Vinci's World. This is a full region installation that was conceived and built by Sniper Siemens. Includes no fewer than 25 reproductions of Da Vinci's machines and engineering marvels, together with reproductions of many of his works of art and his drawings and papers. And it's all presented in a rural setting modeled on Da Vinci's native Tuscany, which also happens to be Sniper's native Tuscany. And apparently the conception of this is a kind of a project that's been 4 years in the making. So it sounds like a fabulous kind of deep dive into Da Vinci in an immersive sort of way. So that particular one will be running through July 21st, and it's LEA 25 is the sim for that. And it looks like Mal's actually in the call. Da, 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 da.
Yes, la. Well, hello, folks. I don't know how much you heard of me in the intro to the show before everything went absolutely silent.
We heard none of it, so you just start it wherever you were going to start at.
Okay, well, it's far too late to have a restart now. But of course, I ended up rebooting my whole computer, the other one where Skype is, and therefore I've lost all the wonderful bookmarks I had ready. So I'm actually quickly loading my Twitter history here, basically, to give you the gist of what's going on in the greater metaverse. I have been listening in partly to what Tara was saying, so there's a bit of duplication here, but I'll go through what I've got in case we've missed something. I don't actually have the links open, of course, because of the crash. CAST-R, C-A-S, lowercase, and then A-R, which I presume is for augmented reality, looking at the world through a different pair of glasses. Well, I guess it had to happen, but with Google Glass going the rounds and our wonderful bulky headsets. I forgot the name already. You can tell I've been taken by surprise here. Oculus Rift, that's it. It's no surprise that no end of other people are actually coming up with things. And Cast AR popped up in the week, which is sort of looks like a very cumbersome pair of Google glasses, but not nearly as cumbersome as the Oculus Rift. So we'll take it from there. Everybody is getting in on the act. There has also been a slight delay this week in I think they put it back now 2 weeks, the sort of in-store distribution of the Leap device. That's the one you plug in and it senses everything that's going on around you, and is supposed to be 200 times as powerful as a Kinect device. Tara did mention this actually, so I don't need to really. The Open Simulator Community Conference. Justin of Justin CC, the Open Simulator blogs, released this news early in the week, and it's been repeated a couple of times since. I don't know where Tara mentioned it. Apparently, they do have Avicon involved in this. Avicon, of course, being principally Philippe Took and which name on earth to Rihanna and Chat Noir. Anyway, I was about to say, I've been actually trying to get them to come on the show and tell us more about Avacon. I'm not entirely sure whether this joint venture will actually be Avacon under a different name, if you see what I mean. Avacon has been doing some various exercises on OpenSim recently, which have been filmed, incidentally, or there are transcripts. Just a sort of chat series as a prelude to the convention itself. Let me scroll down the list a little bit more. Plenty of PR, incidentally, for Philip Rosedale's High Fidelity project during the week. Sort of nothing we haven't heard already, but a lot of PR for it, I should say. The OpenSim conference is to be held in the fall, but I think Tara gave you more on that. A PDF from Digital Urban here in London, quite interesting. You'd have to look up Digital Urban. They're actually part of the Royal Geographical Society here. They've released a PDF. It's free to download, called Virtual Cities: Digital Mirrors into a Recursive World. They were actually involved in Second Life and OpenSim quite a bit with sort of geographic mapping and things, and we've shown some clips recently where they're using Unity 3D for similar things. I'm actually clicking on this link in the hope that I can actually get you an L for it. But interesting blog that turned up in the week. I think it was in one of my sort of Inworld Fashionista blogs about a program called Tatara. Tatara, if you want to look it up. And it's described as a furnace for creating sculpts and mesh. Now, this is sort of paid for software. It's not particularly expensive, and you have to pay Inworld for it in lindens, even though the software is actually a download that runs on your desktop as opposed to Inworld, if you see what I mean. I'll open the link for that while I'm chatting, and hopefully we'll get something on that before long. And let me see. Oops, I keep losing it. The browser is opening finally. Something else new on. Oh yes, Imprudence the viewer. The experimental version of Imprudence, which has been in beta for a while, is now open in public release as of a couple of days ago. I mention this in particular, not so much for users of Second Life, but Imprudence is probably the most popular viewer for people using OpenSims, certainly traditionally, although I know a lot of people use a special edition of Firestorm for Open Simulator now. And I can't really tell you all the various tweaks that are actually involved in the Imprudence experimental viewer, but its interface certainly looks like the good old Viewer 1 interface, as people called it. But under the surface, I gather it's much more updated with support for newer technologies that we're used to in Firestorm and Second Life. That one is out. And where are we? I'm afraid, yes, Imprudence Experimental version 1. And, oh yes, I'm just going to open another clip here while we're at it. Okay, while I'm opening a couple more clips, as I did actually mention at the top of the show that SL10B, the Sims, the community festival Sims, have actually opened today at noon, the very time we came on air, for builders and etc. Sophia, due to inundation, cannot actually be here today, but she did ask me to pass on a couple of notes. One was to tell you just that the builders are now in. Everybody who applied for a place or whatever at the SL Community Festival should now have been notified. There's also a procedure whereby you have to join the Inworld group and then send a message in that group to join the exhibitors group and get teleported to your parcel to set it up. Sapphire specifically said, please don't rush everybody. Obviously, come noon, the whole planet was logging in to try and get onto The Sims and into the group. But there is plenty of time yet. You have until the 30th of May. Is it the 30th? I'm not sure. This 30th of May to actually get your pitch and get yourself sorted out, and a good couple of weeks yet, but to actually do the building. So don't panic. But if you did apply for a place, check your email, check your spam folders too, because as with all these things, it's possible your reply has been read as spam, and you may have to check your spam folder to pick it up. And follow the instructions there. Join the Inworld group and then send a message via that to the other group. And whilst we're on Sapphire, I've got a lot of bleeping in my Skype. It might be a different Skype. It probably is. No, today. Designing Worlds, of course, tomorrow. Rather interesting one. I think this has been brought a week ahead, but it is another special show featuring Tony Dyson and Chantal Harvey, looking at their new eBot project. As you know, was it 2-3 weeks ago? They did a special show here. Instead of sitting on our couch like everybody else, they dragged us along to Toyland or whatever it was called, and we did a whole convoluted special looking at the Bobbikins, which is this ebook series, and we've been showing a few clips of those, including a few later today. So just sort of 30-second preview clips of what it's all about. Anyway, they will be talking to Sapphire and Elric on Designing Worlds tomorrow. And I gather she was successful in making them sit down in a proper seat this time. So that's something to look forward to, I guess. I think that's it, really, from Sapphire's news. Getting back to the links that have finally opened here, these may sort of come in interesting later. I noticed a blog or a post at least, a feature at a site called develop-online.net. It's an audio special, and it's looking at the 3D future of game sound. And one of my guests today, indeed, coming up any second now, is Dizzy Banjo. So I've got a feeling our conversation is going to drift in that direction, amongst other things. Anyway, but if you go to www.develop/online.net, you can read all about this, and it's this is games, but when it comes to technology, the game technology is as important to virtual worlds as anything else. We make a point of saying virtual worlds are not games, but they nevertheless do share some of the technologies that were pioneered in game spaces, so to speak. So that is actually quite interesting. And finally, yes, it was Living in the Modern World, that revealed this one. A program called Tatara, Tatara, no relation to the person sitting next to me. This is Tatara. And it's actually, that name means a traditional Japanese furnace for smelting iron and steel. But the Second Life version has been created by an avatar called Yuzuru Jewel under Kanani Projects. That's Kanae. Kanani Projects is the brand name in World. And basically, it's a suite of tools that can be used to create sculpt maps and mesh collider files ready for uploading to Second Life. In other words, you don't have to necessarily work with Blender and special export things to get them right for Second Life. This is a tool that's designed to allow you to work on them and have them instantly ready in the format that Second Life will accept. And it includes both texture and bitmap editing capabilities built into the program too. So apparently it's a combination of tools all in one program. And let's see. There was some talk in the channel back chat a few minutes ago about another program called Rokuro, Rokuro, lathe brackets, which could also be used to create basic shapes and forms. I don't know about this. If you want to know more, I think the best thing here is if I can scroll down to the bottom of this very, very long article. Oh, it's getting technical. I'll tell you what, folks, I'm simply going to give you an hour of praise blog. It's Modem World, MODEM World, or one word, .wordpress.com. And you can find the post on Tatara. She posted it on the 20th, which I guess was about 3 or 4 days ago. So you can go in there and check. It does actually sound like a very interesting tool indeed, though you do have to contact the creator Inworld to unlock full permissions, I gather. So it's a sort of, you register Inworld and then download the real world program. Okay, so I think... Yep, I've got that out of the way. Okay, so until something else comes up, I've got my Inworld links ready to reload, I should say, in a few minutes' time. I think it's time to introduce this week's guest. After some delay, as you probably gathered in our chaotic openings, for which please forgive us. I'm joined today, one of the clips, if you were watching the Week in Review live before we came with Inworld to the Inworld review, featured a very interesting build from what was actually the 5th birthday celebration of Second Life. And it was called Message in a Bottle. I indeed remember recording my little message to go in said bottle. And it was created by Lily Yifu, I think her name is, with my guest today, Dizzy Banjo. So first of all, welcome, Dizzy.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Recovered from your heart attack yet?
Just about. I'm not entirely sure, but my apologies for this chaos. This has been a less than smooth entry into the show today. But of course, you're an old pal of ours. You used to come on the. You used to film for us Inworld back when we were doing the early version of the live show Week in Review, and of course you've been on Week in Review, and we go way back, don't we? So pleasure to have you here. But the fun thing is, of course, you are reviving Message in the Bottle, which we saw a clip of just before the Inworld show started for this year's 10th anniversary. So
I kind of I saw an email from I think it was something to do with LEA, or someone mentioned that the 10th birthday was coming up, which was kind of shockingly soon after the 5th birthday. And it sort of felt a bit it just reminded me really of that project, because I mean, I remember when it was the 5th birthday, I sort of thought, well, what could I do that would not just mean I would create something, but would really I guess let the residents create something with me and make something kind of special that would allow a lot of people to express their opinions. And when when I started to do that, and had this idea of people sending messages in. So just to explain a little bit, the project was this kind of huge bottle, like an enormous beach with a bottle laying on it, and inside that bottle I put messages from hundreds of residents of Second Life who I asked a simple question really, which was, how does Second Life make you feel? And what hopes do you have for its future? Actually, I think I asked back then, and the response was quite overwhelming, really, because I kind of thought a few people would do it, but it wasn't just really the number of people, but it was also the the kind of the emotional kind of engagement that they had, really.
Yeah.
And the sort of the type of messages that they were leaving was obviously showed that Second Life had become something incredibly important in their life. So when I got this message now, I just thought it would be quite good to revisit that, and also revisit the sounds that they they contributed at that time, but
Mm.
maybe ask some of those people, or ask everybody to send in new sounds and kind of new messages, and see in a way how they feel about it now, what they feel has changed, what they think about the future of it now, because it's in another 5 years in.
I find it so hard to believe that was actually 5 years ago. I mean, I was relatively new to Second Life myself. Come think of it, a year or two maybe.
Yeah.
It seems, I know it's a couple of years ago, but 5 come again. But I do remember it very well. Not only did Tara and I contributed to it, but I remember walking around in it, and it was this very strange feeling because I think it was before Second Life Voice, but it had this spatial quality. You would you'd approach an area in the bottle, and some of the voices in that area would become louder and other ones would fade. And literally, as you moved around, the voices were sort of coming in and out. So it was sort of this gigantic. It was like moving around in a crowd and overhearing everybody's conversation, except that they were talking about their feelings of Second Life, and it was really totally immersive.
I think I think at that time we had them kind of playing on their own around you, and obviously, this relates to what you were saying about 3D audio, but in a way, Second Life, the voice system that's in Second Life does have a kind of 3D quality to it. It's not really spatial, but it has a kind of 3D quality, and so when they were playing and you're walking your avatar around, it was kind of, they were all around you, and you were inside this huge bottle as well. So I guess that made it feel a bit more immersive. But I think this time around, what I want to try and do is something quite different, really. So I'm not gonna make it a kind of literal thing. It's not going to be a message in a bottle, or a huge bottle, or something highly visual like that. I've got this idea for a experience which might be quite unusual, really. I'm not going to really talk about it now, because I don't really it's not completely clear in my mind. But I think what I'll do this time is, instead of just using the sounds directly, then I might try and kind of process them and make them into a kind of artistic whole, really. So last time, 5 years ago, I asked people to actually upload the sounds themselves, and they would record them, and then I'd use them exactly as they were. So some people created musical kind of pieces, some people made sort of poems, pieces of sound design, all kinds of different things. But this time I'm going to sort of process all of the stuff that comes in and sort of make it into one slightly more unified thing, and then use the sounds after that point uploaded, and make it into some kind of sound installation experience, really. So I think yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, well, this brings me to the fact that you put a thing up on Facebook and your own website in the week where really the appeal is out, isn't it, for people to contribute audio bites for it?
Yeah, so I mean, I made a little short sort of post just to kind of describe the project and say how to do it, really. So I mean, if anyone wants to contribute, I've tried to make it as simple as possible. It's just about recording 10 seconds or less of your voice, and you can use any kind of software that you want to do that. And the question is, what does Second Life mean to you in 2013? So I mean, that can really be literally anything. I would like it if people really just used their voice, it was just their own kind of speech, really. And if you email those to dizzy'sbottle@gmail.com, that's dizzy'sbottle@gmail.com, then I'll incorporate them. I will use everything in there, and I'll probably have some kind of section where people can hear them, unprocessed. And yeah, I mean, if people use SoundCloud or something like that, make sure the link is downloadable. Otherwise, I can't get hold of it.
I just no me. You get a 10-minute clip, not a 10-second clip. But yeah, is Lily or anybody else working with you on the project this year?
Well, I'm not sure yet, because I've literally, I mean, I sent something in to the organisers for the birthday thing. Just said, there's a kind of history of this project that happened 5 years ago, and I'd like to sort of, revisit it. But I haven't really thought if I'm going to do something with anyone else on this at the moment. I mean, I think Lily was really involved last time from the scripting point of view, and she helped with the process of assigning the sounds and things like that. But my scripting is I've done a lot more programming since that time, so I'll probably be able to sort of handle it really this time.
A rather funny thing, Deb's Regions in the channel chat was saying, Dizzy, what are you doing for SL10B? And Pet's just said, you've just had the answer. But she then says, I hope they get you in, Dizzy. Well, we know already you're in. In fact, you're actually wearing a SL10B tag, which means you've gotten through the bureaucracy even quicker than I have.
Yeah, well.
So you're definitely in, and it's going ahead. So yeah. Well, you've also been working on a lot of other things, but I'm going to come back to that a little bit later as we get updates and open up the chat a bit. But I'd like to move across sitting next to you. We've got Sophia Yates. Hi, Sophia.
Hi, Mal. How you doing?
Hi,
thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. It seems like ages since I've talked to you.
I know. We've been kind of like cross the grid. That's okay, though. I've been watching you for a long time, Mal, and I think you do a wonderful thing. I listen to everything that you do talk about, and Tara as well, because it's just like really what's going on here in Second Life. So you cover a lot. You really do. I don't know how you do it, but you do. But it's very informative.
Yeah, we try, put it that way. I sort of have my eye on the news all the week, and so it's a bit more technical. Yeah, we do it. We recently changed this show, as most of our listeners, viewers will know, from an RL cam and clip show to, a clip show with this Inworld sequence. And it's opened it up a lot, because it's less monologue and more dialogue. With discussion, which is much the fun. Now, you of course have. There's two things that you amongst many other things, I hasten to add, that you've been up to recently. One is, and I know we're going to be showing this after the Inworld review in the clip show. You have a submission, as I think you've had for pretty much all of them, to the University of Western Australia's machinima contest this year.
Yes, Reflections, yeah.
Reflections, and we have about 6 new ones this week, one of which is yours, so we'll be showing that later.
Great.
But it's a very interesting project. I've been one of the judges on this for some years now, and I think last year, I had to download all the clips.
Oh my God.
Put them on a hard disk, and then I ran them to the big screen in stereo. I think I don't know. I think it was something like 8 or 9 hours sitting to watch them all.
Oh my God!
So it's a hard task, but JJ and the Australia crew really have sort of caught the magic of this. It's probably one of the most popular machinima contests.
Yeah, it was actually a fun one to do. I enjoyed doing this because I've been like obsessed with this mirror thing with in Second Life, trying to find an actual mirror. And that came about by seeing one of my first machinimas where this couple were getting ready to go out on the town, go to a big party, and she was looking in the mirror. I don't know if it was Phelan. Was she in that? It's an old machinima that's really great, but she changes and her clothes go like just zip right down her avatar and then zip up and she's changed. But it starts off where she's in a mirror, and so I was just trying to I used the water with as far as the reflections go, and had a lot of fun. So yes, we've been a busy bee for a little while.
Mirrors are funny, I've never seen a real working mirror in Second Life. I've been to a store, Mad Hattery, one of my favorites actually for hats, is top hats and things. They've changed it now, but they used to have a sort of reflective floor, which had a complete mirror image. underneath it. But of course, if you look
Right.
close, you realize they'd actually done a mirror build underneath it, and it was all an illusion. It wasn't mirroring anything. And I know there's one other virtual world, not OpenSim, but there was one platform. It might be Twinity, that actually had found a way to create a mirror. So you had
Really
a mirror on
taking
your
note.
house. Well, but it was different technology. It wasn't the Second Life technology. So you have to do it by devious means, I think. But
But that's the thing, is that I wanted to capture the movement and the, looking at yourself, and that's the whole thing about a reflection in the mirror, is that you're looking at yourself and you're moving in, unison with your avatar in that reflection. So that's always been on my mind, is to find a decent, or if when it did exist, a mirror.
mm. The search goes on, I
And
think.
it goes, well, I think so.
Somebody will probably find some ingenious
I
way.
hope so. I'm putting the word out. Please find me a mirror. I need to see.
It's really just.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, there
I'm
there
not
there
sure.
is there is the fake mirror deal that you sit down in front of the dressing table and you click on the mirror, and then you appear to be appearing in the mirror, but actually
Right.
your avatar has been repositioned inside the mirror so that it appears as the mirror
You
image instead
you
of.
could probably
Don't do it for me, though.
No,
you could probably do it
if
with
you
a
zoom
bot.
out, the effect is ruined. Yes.
Yeah, there's an invisible space in front.
So we had.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Right, so I was just going to say, as you can probably hear, folks, the other guest we have in the studio is filming us at the same time is, of course, Petlove. Welcome, Petlove. How's things with you? Right. The reason I brought you in right now, while I'm talking to Sophie especially, is that, of course, you were one of the people responsible for filming Sophie herself in World a few weeks ago. And my next question to Sophie is
Yes.
about this event, because
Hmm.
it was a real life event that you did, wasn't it? And
Yes.
I know Pet and probably other people helped, film the in-world component of it.
Hmm. And the white
Yeah,
scene and
yeah.
Secret Rage. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, she's brilliant.
It was
Mm,
important, really to me to show people in real, that haven't been introduced to Second Life, or haven't, been a part of it for long at all. A lot of, universities do have you know, a offer a component, a unit of a class of Second Life, but
yeah.
that's all that the students see. And I wanted them, I wanted more students. That's why I held it at, the location that I did. Also, plus there's a large art community. But what I found out is that more people were viewing online. And then that came to the actual event, but we did have an audience, and they were just blown away by what people are really, how they're really applying the virtual world. And that's what I wanted people to know, in that weren't familiar with Second Life, is that actual people really do use it for work, and
Mm,
use it for a virtual office, or to promote their artwork, or their architecture, like DB Bailey. Actually, it's kind of like his muse, Second Life is, because it just
mm,
stirs up all his creativity in, in himself. You know, not only just exposing, what he does for work in real life. JJ, just having the virtual campus where they do conduct actual classes and lectures and graduations. I mean, we had the Zach Claxton, the performer. He did a wonderful explanation, um, at length, on how, performers, virtual performers, do their thing here in Second Life, and don't expect to make a living, but you're going to get some
mm.
exposure. Um, we had Marley Molina, who did a lot of explaining. She did an actual demonstration with me, of course. She does do this in private. What how the demonstration that we provided, for therapy, life coaches, or Gestalt therapy, and it's kind of like how do you feel about yourself? She was just actually, this woman's fascinating. People should go in and sit in on some of her therapy things. I think is someone trying to write to me. Let's see. But actually, it really, can you hear me?
Yes, you're
Yeah,
fine.
you're fine. It was me.
Okay.
Sorry.
But it was, we had a cast of characters that pretty much covered a really large range of different professions that people, work in Second Life. It's like that revolving door. What they do in real life applies to what Second Life, what they do in Second Life is. Yeah, what Second Life is. And what I did the following weekend after that event, I participated in a real life exhibition and exhibit, and I print out a lot of the artwork that, like snapshots that I take in Second Life. And I don't just put them into a snapshot like a 3x5 or a 4x6. I mean, I make posters out of them, and the artwork is beautiful. And what I presented last week was most of the a lot of snapshots that I had taken of DB Bailey's Sims. And I usually do this. I take a lot of snapshots before I embark on filming a large installation or work of body of work that someone has done in Second Life. But people were taken back by that, and like he mentioned in his piece when he was speaking during the conference, was it is not just the snapshot, the image that people are looking at. It's like what you can do in there. And that was the whole thing I had to explain to the people that were viewing this exhibit, that you could actually walk through it. And so these people had a hard time conceiving that. So that's why I had my laptop with me and showed them the movies. And yeah, and they were really, I had people just like scratching their heads, still not getting it. But there was one gentleman that came in the second day of the exhibit who was sent by a friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine that I hadn't seen for a long time. And he worked in another world where he created his own games. And so he didn't realize that you could capture, what you were doing. So, and this is an older gentleman. And so, I mean, it's not the younger generation of people that are getting Second Life. It is the older crowd that are, really, jumping in on this. And as you were mentioning the Oculus Rift, DB, he's waiting for his device to come, and I want to get one of those, and so isn't Gracie Kendall, and I just I don't know how. There is a film out there of someone's grandmother using
Yes.
one. Did you see that? And it's wild. Go ahead.
It's funny, Tara's actually got a developer one. I'm not sure she's fully wired it up at the moment, but we've actually discussed this a fair bit, because one of the drawbacks to it is it's fully immersive visually, but nobody can see their keyboard, nobody can see anything.
Right,
And
right.
it hasn't got headphones, so you can't hear anything, and you can't wear headphones at the same time. So it's a brilliant.
Let me. Can I break in for
sure.
just a moment,
Sure.
guys? Dizzy has to depart, so
Oh.
I'm sure
Yeah,
we'd like to
sorry,
give
guys.
Dizzy an opportunity to at least make some parting comments before he has to dash away.
Oh, could the parting comment include how to make a mirror? Because you were going to tell us.
Yes.
Okay,
Thanks.
Dizzy. So sorry I missed that. Too busy gossiping, really.
Sorry,
That's
Sue.
right. Yeah, well, unfortunately, I don't really have the answer for the mirror question.
Oh,
but
okay.
I think you could maybe you could do it by scripting a bot to mirror all of the actions that an avatar did.
Right.
That might be possible.
Or just have another avatar. You can make a duplicate of your avatar.
Or just live upside down facing the water all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but I have to go now, Sue. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, before
very
you
much,
do,
guys.
Dizzy, do you want to just give out the Earls? Well, I know you've given out the Gmail address, but if anybody wants to check up on Facebook or your websites.
Yes, and for the Tatar.
Well, the best place, I guess, to look would be my Facebook, which is Dizzy Banjo and Music. It's just a Facebook page, if you have a look on that.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thanks awfully for coming.
Thank you.
Sorry we've kept you.
Take care.
So I'd love to stay, but there's kind of food ready. So
Thank
No
you.
contest.
I'll let you make a discreet
Yes,
exit,
thanks,
and
thanks, Dizzy.
I'll
see you
get
later.
I'll get
Bye-bye.
Petlove to turn her camera around on herself for a brief minute.
I'm gonna take Dizzy's seat, and then we'll all be together.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
if oh, I see. Okay, um, that seems fair enough. This you see, it's funny talking to Sophia. It's people do actually seem to like watching talking heads. This is a bit like picture radio, but
Right.
the Second Life and OpenSim, all these immersive spaces are just that. They're totally immersive. That doesn't mean you can do things, you can create, you can work and do all these things. And even a chat show like this doesn't really give you the
The
full idea.
experience, right.
Yeah, the full experience of that. And certainly from from the film Petlove gave me, and I saw that conference, you really just did dig up a whole roster of people doing
It
diff
was
doing,
it was a marathon, Mel. I
yeah.
was exhausted. And I mean, I thank Petlove because I really didn't expect her to save everything, but she did. And so which is valuable information because the people that were at that conference that were the keynote speakers have been here for a long time. They're seasoned users, and so they had an immense amount of valuable information that I hope people will continue to watch and gain something from all that information that was shared. But yeah, it was fascinating, I have to give a lot of credit to Lapician Liberty because a lot of what we do now together couldn't be possible without him.
Mm.
And I really do believe that because he's just a genius in what he does, and I don't think he realizes it, but you are. If you're
We
there.
we all know it.
Right.
We gave him a diploma.
I know we gave him a diploma. Now we have to follow through with the University of Virtual Arts and Technology. So
You're the president.
I'm the president. And so, yeah, we had fun doing it. Acer, my other friend from Austria, he got a little flustered, like I usually do sometimes. You get a little nervous because you're talking to you don't know how many people you're talking to because you could have 25 viewers, but you could have one of those viewers could represent a room full of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you never know. But we had fun. God, I don't want to leave anybody out that we had with us. We had oh God, well, my
Lapice.
husband who just sat there. I pull him out once in a while. Brino did a wonderful demonstration. Now, and DB caught it. He got it when because he followed after Brino. She really dug down into explaining, how we all view art and how we, really take it apart. And she did a wonderful job. And Pamela Cliff, she was there, and she authored the book, The Handheld. God, what book? It's just all about human behavior, and she's for the past 7 years, well, 6.5 years. I met her really early on when we, both started, and she started right in on that book, doing a real, what do you call it, test drive. She was constantly trying to hook me up with someone, but I just couldn't get into the whole partner thing. I had one partner in Second Life, but she really fell into this and, did her homework. I'm gonna say, God, we just had a really good time, and
She's still doing her homework.
yeah, she's still doing her homework. But she does have a good friend. She met someone that has remained a very good friend for a long time, and I don't think it's I won't explain her story for her, but it became a very loving, intimate friendship on a certain type of a level where two people are helping each other, walk through life during hard times. And that she has done, and she's helped out, her friend very, for a long time, which I think is very important to a lot of people here in Second Life. Is just the friendships that have developed over time. Like Mal, I've known you since early on, and I've followed your career. I knew that you had a wealth of information stored in you, but you're constantly researching. And so I find that fascinating too. Whenever I click on, I know I'm going to learn something new when I listen to you.
Yeah,
Me,
I seem to take a broad overview of things and
yeah,
skim the
you do.
surface, but I take a lot in rather than anything in depth, So
Right.
yeah,
And Tara, you as well. I've been following, the two of you for some time. And like some Rice and Falls, both he and I had a conversation about machinimatography.
mm,
When we do what we do, we isolate ourselves a lot. Where we're not always opening up, to talking to the audience. We're always just filming and kind of like hiding away or just sitting in a corner. And so you
mm,
lose that interaction.
yeah,
And because see, you'll film, but Petlove, what she's doing now is wonderful because she can participate.
yeah.
And
Oh,
yeah,
it's
and you
great to have
lose
Bet
that.
Love on. Yeah,
It's a
I'm
it's
always
pleasure.
impressed by those who can walk and chew gum at the same time, and
I know.
that
yeah.
demonstrates the
Yeah, but
skill.
don't ask me to make a right turn or a left turn.
I know. But
Yeah, it's not as though we're doing a Bob Higgins job, is it?
what happens to us is that you become shy. You
Mm,
find yourself like I did tell Rice, and I said, well, I'm not an extrovert in Second Life, but I am in real life. I think people, that know me,
Well,
and
that's an oxymoron.
it's crazy. But like it's when you're filming, you're totally focused on what you're doing, and as far as interaction, you don't get a lot of it. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to network big time before I started to get into machinimatography. And hello, dear.
don't you find it's sort of it's expressionism in a
Yes,
sense, isn't it? Because the same thing that makes people who are a bit introvert be more extroverts in Second Life, they've got a kind of wall there, a protective wall, not a
right,
barrier wall, but you can be anonymous in Second Life. You can, if somebody gets stage fright, I know a couple of Second Life
sure,
musicians, one in particular, who would get stage fright and says she could never perform live. But of course, she does it all the while in Second Life because there is enough removed there that she can really
remain anonymous. Yeah,
yeah, well, she's not, in fact, but it's just the thing of getting up on the stage in front of a real life audience is something she can't quite cope with. But it doesn't matter how many hundreds of avatars she's got in front of her, she can.
yeah.
And there is something empowering about that. But coming back to machinima, which of course you do, that too is the expression. I mean, obviously, well, I was going to ask you, in fact. Something like the contribution to UWA's
Hmm.
theme thing is a personal work. It's an expressive piece of art
Right.
that you do in film form, put in that competition. But I know, for example, I don't know about recently, but you did for a while, for example, approach some machinimas as documentary, didn't you? I remember actually, I can't even remember who the company was
Yes.
called now, but there was a so-called Inworld television company that took you for a bit of a ride, sadly. But at one point, you're actually doing, what was basically a documentary.
Yes.
Although you're equally adept, of course, at doing this sort of expressionistic, creative thing of your own. Do you still have an interest in all those flavors of machinima,
Oh,
or?
absolutely. It's like an artist. You have your hands in everything. You've got to, if you're in clay or oils or paint, you have to be in it all because you
Mm.
want to, experience it. Documentaries are an expression of my feelings. Like if I'm upset over something, I will, like I know that you probably watched Sophia Went to the White House, I was,
I
but
want
in
to see that one.
Oh, that's actually funny. And before that, the one that got me to the White House was the Deep Blue Sea Council was very upset. They were the mermaid people, and the people that lived under the sea. And they spoke to Sophia. You've got to go talk to the president and tell him how upset we are because everything's dying down here because of all the crap that they're sticking in the ocean. So that's where the oil spill that upset me. So of course I had to do a documentary on it. What other one did I do? Oh, the old man. the old man. He's, because that came after he was like a witness and who was impacted by that. The Gulf oil
Uh,
spill. His fish all died. He lived a wonderful life in the bayou, and he was a happy old man. Um, there was another film that I wanted to do, and I only ended up, I completed a short, introduction to the film. It has to do with the town that I live in. They were actually going to produce a film here in my town, and that was on the the captivity and redemption of Mary Rawlinson. And so I created, a set on my sim and started to film that, which was a lot of fun. And let's see, what other, you forget a lot of the things that you do, but a lot of the documentaries are dear to my heart. Yeah, I throw a lot of drama in there. I can be pretty dramatic. I love when Mesh came out, I wanted to experiment with that. I love music. So I throw in a lot of the music that I like. I like a lot of jazz and crazy stuff. I like a lot of I like to creep people out. My husband, the reflection film actually had a whole other track, and I had my husband listening to it the other night, and he's going, "Yep, you can creep someone out." And it was that was something that I had, recorded myself, and I used my daughter's organ. I think people are starting to do a lot of this. I can't play the piano, but I recorded myself 3 little tracks of me playing on the piano, and just combined them. And you really just start to. I'm still evolving as a filmmaker in Second Life. That's all I can say is, and a lot of me is there in a lot of my films. I guess my real feelings and my real self. So, sort of, there's as far as a reflections film, who am I? Uh, a lot, I guess. I don't know. I just like to do a lot of silly things, and I can do them here.
I love JJ's competitions because they usually come up with a title, a
Oh
theme, which is
yeah,
so widely interpretable.
you're right. Like what was it? Dreams, in Dreams. I always usually use the title of the theme, so I remember
Yeah.
Dreams. And what else did we do? Oh God, I'm just fascinated with all the works of art that the people are creating for his competitions. They're
Mm.
so reflective of how people are feeling in real life. They put a lot of work. It's not just they put out a cube. I mean, these people, I don't know how they think up all these things. Just like, people ask, how do you think of these things, the
Mm.
films that you make? But some wonderful works of art are being, virtual pieces are being created in here. And they're complicated. I
Yeah.
look at them and I see that they're very complicated and well thought out.
I've
Um,
seen a few kind of UWA entries, which will always be, they'll go to the 3D art builds
yes.
over there, which is a separate thing. That's not machinima, but it's 3D art. And,
Right.
I have mixed feelings about them because something really, you resonate with one thing and then you go to the next thing and you can't figure it out at all. But, I've actually seen a few machinima come up which have basically used the 3D art and done a sort of travelogue around all the 3D art
Yes.
as a method of making machinima, but that doesn't always quite work because how even though machinima is wonderful and the things we can set up and build here and get ready
Hmm.
to film, it's not the same as being in that 3D space. It's simply a moving camera,
Right. Right.
showing you the 3D space. You don't get the wonder effect of some of that artwork, or even the sound, because Second Life sound is very unusual. It is spatial, and
Right.
when you record it on video, of course, it suddenly becomes, it can be in stereo, but it suddenly becomes a very sort of how shall I say, soundstage sound.
Yeah.
It's you have surround sound, but if you record properly, but you don't have that immersive sort of distance of sound that you get when you make an installation, for example.
Right.
So,
Right.
well, it's a shame Dizzy's still not here because I was going to come back to him because he subsequently to Message in the Bottle 5 years ago, he did a lot of installations which he did with 3D artists. He just did the sound element. He's
Yes.
experimenting with all the different things he could do with immersive sound. which were really totally unfilmable. But they, as an immersive experience, they were something rather special. It's the old "not possible in real life."
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
the one exception being the soundtrack for Ibiza, the Mexican
Oh,
sound,
oh,
which was a composition. But it wasn't interactive sound like his other, the other many other things he's done, where you go in and you jump on things or move
And it makes
around
a sound.
and you trigger sounds,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
depending upon how you move.
Open this and had an installation at one of their exhibits a few years back where you walked through like a whole swath of objects, and it just had all different tones. And if wherever which way you walked, you could create a little composition. I thought that was clever for back then, which was
Yeah.
really cool.
That was great.
Yeah. Do you remember that one? It was when they had the green, the emerald tent.
No, but I've seen a machine like that, and it was at Raglan.
Raglan.
And it was a
Oh,
series of discs that were all different pastel colors. There were like 6 rows of 6 or something,
Right.
and it was wonderful.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something. With the Oculus Rift, I did pick up in one of the videos where they have this disc that you stand on, which they're using a lot of these devices for people with disabilities, but this one particular demonstration that they showed in one of the clips in the YouTube videos of the grandmother, using the Oculus
Mm-hmm,
Rift.
yeah.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Someone was standing on a like a disc, and so they could walk around and experience that feeling of motion. But I don't think you can you won't be able to see yourself. But what I was curious about is you will be able to see other avatars.
Hmm.
So excuse me, it won't affect a filmmaker. Here I am coughing. It won't affect a filmmaker, but someone else who would like to see themselves. But that whole thing has me like fascinated.
I can see them walking into the table and in
I
the
know.
walls, falling off the balcony.
You'll hear your family upstairs, and
No, Petey, no, don't go that way.
I've always had this kind of fantasy of well, not fantasy, but how long
Oh,
how
Lord.
long are we from the holodeck? You know,
I don't
and
close.
then I think, well, you have a ceiling and you have 4 bare walls, which are screens, and they form a panorama, and they are the holodeck. But what happens with the floor? If the floor was on a hydraulic system, so you stayed on one spot, that would be fine.
It
But
should
if
be
you actually
padded. It's going to
if
have
you
to be
actually
padded.
try walking to the
Mhm.
horizon in a holodeck, you'd hit a wall.
Yeah, very
So
true.
that's,
Yeah,
there has
yeah.
to
I
be
see a lot of emergency room visits with this Oculus Rift. I'm sorry.
I do too, but they're using it.
But see, the Oculus is not itself designed to stand up and move around with. Your head moves around.
Yes.
Oh, you don't stand there and you're
No,
not free.
It's not. No, it's not like a.
It's not like in the
uh,
movies yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
my.
it's not a. It's not
Okay.
it's not a physical stand up and move around like you would with.
A helmet. A
Yeah,
regular
but they
helmet.
do have a device that you put on the
Oh, yeah.
floor. That's a
There's
disc.
yes, there's different devices
Oh.
that you can stand on, or that respond to your physical body movement. But that's different. That's a separate
And
device from the Oculus.
yeah,
So interesting.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's one of the things that's one of the issues that's been raised, and I think is kind of is one of the large elephants in the room as far as various immersive tools is that you have the issue of what all is it good for, and anytime you get something that's a special case, is a special kind of use, then you're limiting your market and I think you're limiting the uptake. So it's like, well, if you have the Oculus in order to get a 3D visual immersiveness, but then you have to use a leap device in order to get a mouse movement, get something that captures hand motions and translates them into what you're looking at. And then you have a third thing that picks up your body movements. Well,
Right.
you've just kind of built yourself into a little cage.
True. That's true.
And speaking from just having had the Oculus Rift on my head, uh, it is not ready for prime time.
No.
Just as a physical gadget, it's heavy. It is not like wearing a set of headphones. It's much heavier than that.
Now, how heavy is it? See, I haven't physically held it, and
Yeah.
nobody's mentioned how
Um,
heavy. So if you were
well,
holding it,
yeah, what you'll see, I mean, the comments you'll see are, oh, it's light. But that's it. It's people who are saying it's light are comparing it with, some of the helmet type
right?
headsets that have been around. Well, yeah, compared to a helmet, it's light. But I'd say it's a good pound, pound and a half.
It looks like scuba diving
Yeah,
goggles,
I'd
like the
yeah,
old ones.
I'd say it's a bit heavier than scuba goggles.
That's heavy if you think about it. You're
It's
gonna have that on your head for a while. I mean, you'll end
yeah,
up with they'll end up like neck problems.
yeah.
Like
Well,
sorry.
it's got a combination strap. It's got a strap that goes around the back of your head, and
Hmm.
then there's another strap that runs from the top of the Oculus device and connects up across the top of your head and
Right.
connects with the back. But when I put it on, I mean, after I unpacked the box and I said, "Well, what does this feel like to put it on?" And I put it on, and the first thing that struck me was that it was heavy. And
Yeah.
the second thing that struck me is it's designed so that it blocks,
Your
it
vision.
blocks light from light and sight from outside the actual lenses. And but then it's got some ventilation around the edges of that. But what struck me was I could tell that I probably would not want to be wearing this in hot weather.
Mm.
Oh, good point.
It
Good
felt
point.
warm. It felt like it was going to be a real heat trap.
Winter activity.
Oh, winter activity.
And just and that's but I'm speaking as a total neophyte to these with
Hmm.
no preconceptions from using any other kind of headgear. So it's kind of it's a little reality check on this stuff.
Right. Well, you know what? You just might have helped them because there are different materials that can breathe, and that it seems like is it sealed tight, like you said, like a pair of like let's use the example of the goggles for scuba diving, where there's like a suction, so that
It's not sealed tight that way.
okay.
There's some air vents around, kind of on the sides, above and below where the strap connects.
Hmm.
So it's got ventilation, but this padding that kind of that is designed is kind of a soft rubber padding. But you take that soft rubber padding and you put it around all but where your nose goes, and there's a kind of a little there's a deformation so your nose isn't getting smashed.
Right, right. Can I ask you also, like, does it generate heat? Like let's use, for example, your iPhone. The battery in your phone generates heat. Does that generate any heat, the goggles itself?
Yeah, I can't answer that question because I haven't had it plugged in.
Okay, I'm wondering. Let
But
me
I
know.
suspect not,
Yeah.
because it connects. It's got a
Radios.
box it connects to, and the box is what connects to your computer.
All right,
So if
so
anything gets warm, it's that piece
okay.
of hardware.
Okay.
Now, obviously, this is a developer's kit, so this is not the final. This is not the final
Right,
answer.
right.
So obviously, things like how much it weighs, the materials it's made out of, all of that kind of stuff, I'm sure is going to have a lot of refinement. Not to mention all the software-based issues and stuff like one of the things that is there've been a lot of comments on is what they call drift. In other words,
Yes.
things not staying quite where they
Right.
should based on how your head's moving and how you're looking.
Right.
Um,
Meaning that, like, where you're looking, things drift out of view.
oh yeah, that's yeah. That's not that they drift out of view, but they drift just far enough that some people report feeling a little seasick.
Yes.
Motion sickness
Motion
kind of
sickness. Yeah, I
reaction.
see. Take your Dramamine right away.
Yeah. So that's something. And then the comment I've seen already, as far as tests, some early testing that's been done by Linden Lab, is that Linden Lab is not set up. The software Second Life is not set up to be tracking based on head and eye movements.
Right, right, right.
So that's an area where
It has
there's
to be
the
worked on.
API is going to have to respond to the
Mm,
kinds of things people do when they're looking, when you move your head and you're looking at the environment through the Oculus.
yeah.
Um,
Another
and
thing
that's
that's, yeah.
and that's aside from the obvious things like, if you aren't a touch typist and there's no way you're going to be able to chat.
No.
You're not going to text chat.
But then you might have a mic on.
Well, and that was something else Mal raised, and that is the issue of wearing headphones and on top of this in order to have a mic.
Matrix. Totally like the Matrix. I mean,
particularly since we all know that if you're not wearing headphones and you've got speakers on and you're using Inworld Voice, you tend to get echo. Inworld Voice does unfortunately picks up room sounds a little too good.
Yeah, it does. It does. So that'll be
so there's those little issues as far as Second Life types of applications. But the general sense I think at this point is, as far as Second Life being an obvious choice of an immersive environment, user created, where the visual impacts are significant.
Yes.
That if you view it as something to use for exploring, when you're out exploring, rather than it's not something you're going to want to use when you're in-world building.
Right.
It's probably not what you're going to want to be using when you're in-world filming. Although that's an unanswered question.
Yeah, that'll be, I think, explored. But I think DB wants to use it for building, but also he touched on the medical research that's being done with that, where people are, trying to regain their coordination, things like that. But it sure will really be exciting to see the applications that people, think up while as it develops over time. What I also find fascinating, and Mal, I'd like to know more about this, is the Sculpty mesh, machines, the factory thing.
Yes, yeah, that sounds very interesting.
Oh my God.
I'll dig up the link again later.
Yes, please.
If I can, and sort of, I didn't have I think there's a direct link on, I think it's in Nara's blog, Living in a Modern World.
Yes.
Or Modern World blogs at WordPress.com is where she had the post, and she's actually got quite a technical article on it. I think there's a link in there somewhere, but I'll find it for us later. It's rather funny in the chat room on the channel. Our friend Deb Regent says, she says it will help sell SL as an MMOG. Which is, one does wonder if SL are taking to this device, the Oculus Rift, I mean, although they're developing for Leap as well, simply to attract more gamers into the world. Which
possibly. Or another group.
Yeah.
I don't want to even go there, but I think that may be because they already have other devices that they use where they can really have an experience, that type of thing. So I think people out there know what I'm talking about. But
yeah.
Well, are we going to get really touchy-feely now? I don't know.
Oh, well, you totally missed. We ran an advert 2 weeks ago at the top of the show from Durex. I think you might know the brand name Durex.
Yes.
Their Australian division. They make, shall we say, coats for males to wear when doing whatever. Sexual clothing, shall we say. Well, they have brought out Thunderwear.
Yes.
There's a bra and pants for ladies and a pair of pants for gents, and you connect via your iPhone and you can touch each other.
I know, it's like
whole new meaning.
Meaning across the ocean. My God.
Yeah, not something a man wants to wear while walking down the street, I think. To a girlfriend.
Finally, real long distance love.
I know, but. Oh my God.
Well, but now I followed the link because I was really curious just to kind of get a sense of what the ads looked like, and indeed they are garments. But here's a little web humor is there's always been these cartoons about the discrepancy between the self-described individual online and what they actually look like.
Right.
And the usual one is this handsome hunk who's 6'2" suitably tapered and six-pack abs and all that good stuff, who turns out to be a 5'9", 350-pound parked on a stool with a stubble beard and
Cigarette hanging
57
out of
years
his
old.
mouth and dead food all over the
And what
desk.
struck me about the about these garments is that they're sized for the guy for the self descriptions, not for the real deal.
Right. Yeah, no, you have to think about that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Large, extra large,
yeah.
2X, 3X. Oh God. Yeah. But I bet there's probably a lot of money in that. So let's like look into the stock. I don't know. Oh, who wants to invest?
I mean,
Mm,
I think there probably is a load of money in it, actually. But,
sure.
underwear and an app to go with it. Apps are all it's all the rage.
Unbelievable.
Antibacterial.
You
Yeah.
on the app, you apparently just touch the parts. And it sends the signal through via the phone. And oh dear, I
Oh,
don't think.
I know.
Well, we can leave it to our imagination, I think.
Underwear and an app to go with it. That's a good one. Oh,
Curl up with
Jesus.
your underwear, your app, and your laptop, baby.
Uh,
Oh, that sounds so lonely. But
I guess
Yeah.
I guess Nike started it because you have apps to wear with their trainers, and
right.
they communicate by Bluetooth, and they send you everything you need to know about your walking and your running and your everything the Nike footwear can do, and it's just an
And it
extension
can,
of that, really.
and I know from one of my relatives who happens to be a runner, he's got his set up so it automatically uploads his runs to his Facebook page.
Oh, that's clever.
Wow. Huh. Well, geez,
Fascinating.
I know, it is amazing. Years ago when I was in CAD, um, we went from, like CADS 4, CADS 5, and then it was Pro Engineering. It wasn't AutoCAD or anything like that. And, I always said before that came out, we'll be taking a bar of soap and machining it. Basically like the solid, modeling real time instead of taking a tape down to the machine shop and saying, here, carve me this.
Yeah.
Um, that's why I'm so interested in this application, what they're doing in here. But have you seen we can always just, you can go online and you can create your own little 3D model now. You can just
Yeah.
order it, which I find, it's wonderful.
It's
Haven't
actually
done
scary. It's scary
it
because
is.
they're having a problem with these guns, the mass manufacturing of
Yes.
3D
Oh
guns, and
no.
Yes.
the
That's
FBI says
terrible.
it. The FBI says it's out of control. They can't. They can't. It's not
Control it.
legislation. They can't control it. There's guns everywhere coming
Oh
out of
my
3D
God.
printers.
Yep, that's true too.
On the other hand, the third world can print their food.
Yes, right.
It's amazing technology, but maybe it's like the web itself. The dangers are only become inherent after it's been
Right.
live for a few
Oh, I
years.
don't
And
know.
so,
We're a long ways from printing food, Mal, as far as the current 3D printers. Well, I have seen them that'll run chocolate, but I suspect that the normal stuff that they print with, which is a plastic,
oh
people in
no,
third world
Oh yeah.
countries
Well,
can get it a whole lot cheaper just taking our recycling.
yeah, no, it's I actually tweeted an article in the week about some of the latest stuff. I mean, it has to do, it's the same principle, but they're obviously not using plastics. They're using protein substrates and things like that. And the idea, it was Ian Hughes, the Predator, who first brought it
hmm
to my attention. The idea is simply that the substrates that we need, that make up human food,
Yeah.
are available almost anywhere in the world. The thing is, individual foods, as we know them, aren't. We have to, people have to import them, or they're rare in places. So, the idea is that people will literally be able to sort of mine the right substrates from their own local environment to put in 3D printers to actually build food out of proteins, carbohydrates, and things like that. So the inks of the printer will
Are
literally be
edible.
there will be proteins, carbohydrates, and
Oh God,
things
we're
that.
so Soylent Green.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
yeah,
go on that one.
yeah. This is the sort of thing that just that makes me fidget.
Yes.
Because it presupposes that we know enough about what our bodies need to second guess nature.
Uh,
And I think the evidence is absolutely clear that we don't.
we don't.
We
No.
don't. And the further we move away from what grows in the ground and grows out of the ground, the more likely we are to be foisting further further health issues on whoever is silly enough to go that direction.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah,
I,
we're
I,
all. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a dangerous road. I think it's a
yeah,
dangerous road.
I do too.
Um,
Swings and roundabouts, I think is the expression, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Faced with a loss of this. Wow. Okay. So, moving on slightly, I haven't done much. I've been a bit poorly in the week, so I didn't do much traveling in world this week. And I haven't got Savia or Honor here, but I do have my list of things, which I'd be curious to know if Pet or Utara or Sophia have come across. Well, the first thing that was interesting is that Dan Voyager, I don't know, is in the audience today, as I suspect he's down at SL10B, had a little post about Rodvik Humble visiting Bay City, because Bay City, of course, is celebrating its anniversary. And it also turned out that he visited the 1920s Berlin build as well. And although he didn't say what it was, I suspect he was slapped with an NDA or something. Apparently Rodvik was going on about exciting things soon. If you think it looks good now, just wait a few weeks or something. Very, very intriguing. But of course, we have no sort of information other than that. And
I just hope it all works. I hope
yes,
whatever button they push is really a good button.
Yeah, but it may be a simple matter of him talking about the famous materials and what's it called?
Server-side baking.
Server-side baking. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I would. That would be my guess.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
what
so
it's a
imminent.
reference to.
Probably.
It's imminent.
And of course, the Linden Labs, despite the fact that they didn't get anything together last year, and hence we do have the Second Life community celebration. Have been on their blog pushing their own birthday. I suppose
That's a little sad.
Yeah, well, I think they're concentrating on destination guide and getting people to let them know where things are happening for the birthday. So if they stick to that rather than
Now, do they have a location where they're going to hold the real life conference yet? Has that been talked about?
You mean SLCC?
Yes.
No, as far as I know, the last people to do SLC were Avacon, and their plan was to hold. Avacon were going to hold a convention on OpenSim, but as I mentioned at the top of the show, there is this OpenSim conference too.
No, that's that's the one Avacon's involved in it, Mel.
Yeah, they are.
Avacon and I forget. There's another organization who are co-sponsoring the one that's in September.
Yes, exactly.
And it's only virtual. It's
Okay,
not.
that's
There's
what I
no
was
RL.
wondering.
I heard
yeah.
SLC died. I think that's
It
over
did.
now.
It did.
Yeah.
It has. I think there was something in the forums this week, and somebody saying when's it happening and where, but there's no reply. So I think it's up to somebody else to come up with a real world thing if it happens.
Well, in the with the real world, I did attend the 2010 conference in Boston, and they had a great turnout. As far as I was concerned, I was impressed with the numbers of people that showed up, and that came from afar.
How many showed up? So
hundreds. There could have been God. A couple 3,000, no,
Really?
more than that. It was very it was pretty big, and people, they had a lot of speakers. Who else was there? Let me see. Well, Philip Rosedale showed up, so that was probably why a lot of people turned up, maybe. And he spoke about this was when Mesh was coming, and who else? We had a lot of speakers, and they held classes up in some of the rooms. Pookie Amsterdam was there in person, and she was talking about. She had one whole room set aside, and she was talking about machinima and where it was going, and she did a wonderful job. Filthy Fluno had a room himself and demonstrated, his art, his work. I'm trying to think who else was there.
Well, actually, I think we filmed. Well, I've never been to one. But
Tweet TV, they were there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Treat were there with the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
so I was saying that was really quite impressive, and I was like hoping that they would do another one because
mm,
it was the first. Actually, that was the second one that was held in Boston, and the second one that I went to. 2007, they had one, and
yeah.
that's when I met.
Yeah, but since 2010,
That's
there was
it,
one in 2011.
Chicago.
No, 2011 was San Francisco.
Okay.
And last year they attempted to get one going, and they ran into my recollection is they ran into delays getting the sign off from Linden Lab
To
on 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 trademark related stuff.
okay.
And Linden
Mm,
Lab dragged their feet so badly that they ended up canceling because they couldn't book a hotel. There was a whole bunch of stuff they couldn't
Oh, that's a
do.
shame.
They
mm,
couldn't announce dates in far enough advance for people to make plans.
Right.
Um, and they hit a point where they said we cannot go ahead with this. We don't have enough time, and
yeah.
and and that was and that was a big factor. But I know the attendance in San Francisco was seriously down
Yeah.
from the previous year, and there were a whole lot of
Issues.
conjectures about
Mm.
about why that was the case. But
Right.
Yeah, I think Todd's right. It's basically Linda Nag dragging on things and being fussy about the way their name is used nowadays. I mean, I think Avacon, for example, who did that last SLCC,
Hmm.
are really the people there, namely Fleet and Joyce and others, are very actively engaged in OpenSim now. So I don't really know that the motivation to do a Second Life when it's there.
Mm.
But it would be nice if something like that happened. But you can't call it Second Life something or
No.
other
Right. Right.
unless
unless Linden Lab approves it,
Well,
and if Linden Lab won't
yeah,
approve it until 2 weeks ahead of when you want to have the event,
yeah,
you know,
right.
when you're doing an event of that size, with hopefully people coming from all over the place, and where your facility demands for such things as broadband and T3s,
Hmm.
in order to be able, in order for people who are there to do the things they want to do, not to mention being able to stream stuff so
Hmm.
that those who cannot attend in person can attend virtually.
Right.
There's a whole
mm,
lot of stuff that has to happen
That's
months
why
beforehand.
I
And
had to be careful the other week too. Where I held my conference in real life, I had other people saying, "Well, why don't you contact these people and these people in Boston?" And I was very concerned with the trademark issue with Second Life and Linden
mhm.
Lab, and that's why I just called it a virtual reality world thing. And yeah, I
mm.
was pretty concerned about
Uh, uh,
Well,
the fallout.
we did. I'm quite happy to say this. Anyway, we filmed about 2 weeks ago. I filmed. So it's just a 2 minute sequence. We have four avatars advertising the closing date for the community convention, the community celebration applications, and we filmed it. And although I ran it last week, I think, or the week before, as an audio with a screen behind it, we weren't allowed to use the film because it happened to be filmed.
Wow.
It filmed in one of the original Second Life locations, and of course there was a Linden Lab hand
Oh,
and a placard there, and we were told no, that we can't use that. Lindens will go out the wall.
wow.
So I just extracted the audio and put the slide up saying, "Hurry up, the application's closing." But we did a lovely job. We have four. It was just a spoken, serious thing, with the lines changing between four avatars. And we did a final take of it, which was the best of all because we decided to have them all in synchronized dancing at the same time. And not only was it a good audio take, but it was by far the best the best attempt, rather than the static avatars and lip sync. So, but we can use it for the same reason. It had a proprietary logo in it. And Lindens have already insisted that it's known as a community celebration. It can't be known as
Yeah, that's
Second
the
Life
only.
birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What I did was the only things that represented Second Life as far as a trademark were two wooden letters. I bought an S and I bought an L and I had it on and they're they're huge I actually bought them for my office because I love Second Life. Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
Oh my
And then,
God.
you look at JJ and
Yeah.
University of Western Australia, it couldn't be the opposite, any excuse to get that UWA sign anywhere, sort of
Mhm.
it's,
Right.
Yeah, what are they thinking?
you don't need to be that precious,
It's free
about
advertising for
Well,
them.
It
yeah,
is.
but you've got the difference between a nonprofit educational organization and a profit-based private corporation.
Profit, right.
But
True.
still, why wouldn't they want their logo everywhere to make the world more aware everywhere they can?
I buy the jewelry. I mean,
I would if they weren't such stuffed heads.
yeah, I know.
I mean, no offense to any of them, but it's just silly, it seems.
they're quite happy to hand out T-shirts and stickers to put on your laptop with the
And they
logo
do
on.
give us all that server time, too.
Yeah,
I have a second life Rubik's cube.
I do, oh, I don't have the
Really?
Rubik's cube.
It's
I
an
have
official tchotchke. Yeah, it's a Linen Lab tchotchke.
That's
oh,
nice.
I have a cube from the 2007 that would light up on the table, and it's got the logo and all that. They were handing those out, or either I swiped it or they were handing them out. I probably stole it.
Well, this I picked up when I paid a visit to the Seattle Linen Lab office here several years ago when they were having an employment fair sort of day.
Oh,
And,
cool.
yeah, it was.
Any merchandise, I think now it's gonna be like valuable later on in life.
Oh,
I'm
well,
just thinking you might have more of a collectible there. And
oh yeah, so it sits on the shelf.
Mine's in my china cabinet, and I'd say, "Do not touch." It's kind of crazy, but I treasure it, and I any promotional material that I had from that event, it was just basically that collection of avatars, the poster, and just says the art of virtual reality. That did concern me, just having the SL, the colors. I didn't do that. But I mean, I used everybody else's logo. I won't say that, but I did. But they allowed me.
Yeah.
fair enough.
I always wanted to be a temporary secretary for like a month or two in San Francisco.
Did you
I
really?
think that would be so interesting.
Oh,
I have to go out there to do it, though.
right.
Yeah, in limited doses, basically.
Yeah, nothing permanent. I'm
Yes,
not
I do.
that
I do
crazy.
have to say, that in hindsight, I have many times been actually very thankful that my application to Linen Lab never went anywhere. I never got a
Aw,
call.
Tara, you don't mean that.
No.
Yeah. Oh no, I do actually. I mean, it's and
I know,
I'm
job
I'm
security.
sure the fact that I'm well over 50 was probably two strikes against me
Yep.
to begin with.
And it's funny. I mean, Sophie mentioned earlier on that. I mean, we've covered this so many times that a massive number of Second Life
Population.
users are in the older age category. I mean,
Middle-aged,
let's
yeah.
face it. Teenagers and young adults want to go out and get laid and stuff and discover the
Right.
real world.
Well, you know
They
what?
don't want this, but
They're not communicating like we are. This is more communicating on an intimate level. But I listened to a show on the NPR radio where they had a young kid, a teenager, a high school student interviewed, and they asked, wanted to know. The older people wanted to know, how are you communicating? They're just texting each other. They're not even phone calling each other. So they're disconnecting themselves. The youth today are not using what we're using. We're communicating more than our children are communicating with their own peers. They're using Pinterest or something chat and just their phones. They take snapshots, pictures, never printing anything out. We have a whole generation of people now that are going to lose images that are so valuable to them. Nobody's printing them out. You can lose things in a storm, and but people are not. Our young people are not communicating.
They're very trapped in the now moment, aren't they? And
Yeah, they are.
all this is fine. There's communication,
That's
instant
true of all
communication,
youth.
but there's no substance.
That's
No. But
Well,
no,
I don't know.
but-
There's, I think if any of us put ourselves back when we were that age, the
was outside.
issues that of growing up are such that we tend to be so self-focused
Mm-hmm.
at that age, and
Exactly. That's what I'm
everything
saying.
is a reflection of what do other people think of me,
Mm.
Yes.
and trying to dance to what we think other people want. And I don't think that's changed at all.
No, if
Um,
anything, it's intensified more.
yeah.
Yeah, they're so
And
inundated.
conversely, um, the opportunity. There was an interesting point that was made in something I read that really kind of stopped me short, and that is, I don't know about you all, but when I was growing up, we played outside.
Yes.
I knew all the kids in the neighborhood. I walked to school
Yes.
in grade school,
Five
and
miles in a snowstorm with just sandals.
yeah, sandals and uphill both directions. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, no, it was more.
But no, it's true. We did
And but
too.
yeah, but kids today, they don't go anywhere without an adult around, and so the kinds of communication that are available to them are, okay, when they're in school, and otherwise, that their worlds are much smaller in a lot of
They are.
ways, as far as their, the physical worlds that they
That's
have
true.
available to them to freely explore.
Right. I
Um,
live in a community where there's a lot of homeschooling. And those individual families, have just small groups of people that they associate with.
yeah,
That was kind of a little bit of a mistake of my, that I made moving out to where I live. I love it. It's beautiful. It's a great place to live, but I don't think I would choose it again for my family, for my own children, because they're
Mm.
so isolated in some ways. They don't go outside their own groups. And so this is what is, like homeschooling, this is what where we have become, what we have charter schools as well that are also just their own little communities. So we have all these like little units of communities where nobody's connecting like in a real strong network. They're
yeah.
broken networks. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you
Oh
Yeah,
understand?
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
I find that so isolating and not healthy for the children today, where they're not under, they're so protected. They're so protected as far as with who they talk to, what they say, which, I mean, I don't want my daughter go walking the streets, even where we live because it's not safe. But when we were growing up, like Tara said, we had like football teams. Our neighborhoods were full of kids. We were outside until our parents would had to drag
Till
us in.
dark. Yeah, you
Till
had to
Until it
come in
got
till
dark.
dark. Yep.
dark.
Yeah.
When the fireflies came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think with that is something that is lost,
Well,
and
It's true.
there's another aspect to it as well, is that in spite of the fact that we have the capacity via, with all the online tools and virtual worlds to to mix it up with people who see the world differently than we do, who
hmm
have different viewpoints than we do, who have different beliefs than we do.
right.
What actually has happened is people are more cut off from divergent views. So that, and that's always been one of my, you know, I don't won't call it a complaint, but I view it as a real liability of things like homeschooling, is that
Yes.
instead of kids growing up where they're mixed up
Diversity.
with
Right. I
kids from
like that.
different economic
Mm.
backgrounds,
hmm
potentially kids of different races and ethnic backgrounds, with students and teachers who have different political views, different religious views, different philosophies, different,
Yep.
morals, and all those things come into the mix, where you actually learn all the shades of gray.
Yes.
What we have today is a media that sound bites us into either ors, into black and white with no shades of gray. And so we
Mm.
have this tremendously adverse polarization
Right.
impression that
Yeah.
people are wandering
Disconnected.
around with, and
Yeah.
not connecting with people who don't see things like they do.
Right. Where right now what we're doing. Okay. I know that there are people out there watching, and they're from all over the world. And so, in a way, we are still connecting, even though I'm not talking, directly to them. But as we're walking around the virtual world of Second Life or any other grid for that matter, um, we're becoming more sympathetic to what Tara is saying, is that people are from all backgrounds, of all nationalities, of all different religions, and we know that, and we're learning so much about people and coming to respect all that. That was the big thing with me when I first started here. I said, "Oh, wow, I can talk to somebody from, or
Hmm.
just even type to someone that's over
Yeah.
across the pond." And I mean, to this day, I say, "Well, what are you having for dinner?" And I mean, it's different diets, different, the just the way that they live, their daily life. That is so important for, I think, our children to know that, you know, you have it so good. I want you to know how hard it is for this other child that's just like you. Or I wanted you to know how good they have it, that you can, try and reach for that too. So I don't like that total isolation of homeschooling. It can be
Yeah.
wonderful, but in one sense, but I have seen the opposite results from that. So
Long live the global village.
yes.
And Emil from
And what
and
if
Emil from the back chat notes that he's eating eucalyptus leaves.
Oh, are you really?
As his tiny, probably. Koala
Yeah,
bear.
it must be a koala.
Yeah, huh?
Um,
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he has different cultural habits too.
well, before I think we've been going on quite a while, so I
You
think we
abruptly
might
stop.
start wrapping up. Now, I mentioned Sapphire and Honor right here to give us clues as to what to go for, but I still have a list, and it'd be curious to know if any of you've encountered these. There is an exhibit this week at the LEA. Well, it's on for longer than this week at LEA 25.
I'm
I talked
heading
about
there.
that.
Oh
I
boy.
talked about that.
Da Vinci's
Hmm.
birthplace. Have any of you
Yes.
seen it?
Haven't
No,
seen
but
No.
it yet.
I'm on my way after this. Definitely got to
Oh,
check that out.
Yes, that's
I've
definitely a
seen.
must.
I have seen the pictures, and if as usual, I say, well, the pictures are anything to go by. Better put it on the list. Go, folks, go get there. It's quite interesting. There've been a lot of Da Vinci type things in Second Life.
Lo-
He was featured in the guy who did a lot of painting recreations in 3D, and of course that famous machinima, Starry Starry Night. Yes, yeah, that was Da Vinci
Ooh.
too. It's quite interesting, but this is actually a
No,
total.
that's Picasso.
Stories.
What?
Sorry, that wasn't Da Vinci.
Oh, oh,
Sorry,
Did he have an Oculus Rift?
sorry. That's okay. That's okay.
okay. So shut up. On to the next item. The thing that Safia completely forgot to actually tell me to plug, and I've just remembered, of course, is that this week is a whole week of talks at the Home and Garden Expo.
Oh, right, yeah. It's three,
Um,
right? Three SLT every day?
well, I think
Or is it
it
later?
may even be 3 and 5.
Okay.
You'd have to. I suggest the Print Perfect blog is probably the place to check that.
Yeah.
Although there's plenty of others. And yeah, I mean that again is, as regular viewers know, it's a Relay for Life fundraiser.
Hmm.
I've seen lots of pictures of it in the week. I never get to these things, to be honest, because of the lag, the Linden lag, as somebody misquoted me earlier. But
We were
the
there to tape the day before it opened, and it was still too laggy. We went to a
Oh,
duplicate sim that our guests had set up.
and this happened with Fantasy Fair too.
It was tough, yeah.
I was in there before it was even open, and I still couldn't move. Or feel better,
Yeah.
But if
That's
it's
a
like that
shame.
now, what happens when they're there? But I've seen, especially when it comes to architectural design and interiors and things like that, which of course is probably the main focus of this one.
Hmm.
I've seen some amazing photos coming up in the fashion feeds and things. So if you can get in and stay in, more to the point, well worthy of a visit. I don't know whether we'll be able to bring any of the talks to you live during the week. Lag tends to prevent us filming too, but it'd be nice if we can catch some. But I'm sure Sappho will at least bring us up to date with the highlights next week. So that's that. So get in there. What else have I got here on the a sim called Flora?
ooh, that sounds interesting.
Doesn't it? Foliage and stuff like
I
that.
thought it was a dust tunnel.
Oh,
And it's, of course, it would have to be located next to a sim called Fauna, right?
And I don't know how long this hunt lasts. I do tend to keep an eye on hunts, although this is probably not mine as such. But it is, of course, well, it's a bank holiday tomorrow, Monday, here in the UK, and Memorial Day, isn't it, Tara, in the US? Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
There was a USA hunt, indeed, going on
Really?
in World. So if you, I don't know what the prizes are, but apparently you go around looking for an American flag. And
We're going to
it's
say, and if you
obviously
lose, you get the state of Texas, right?
it
I
is
was gonna say.
designed. Yes, it's it's a hunt basically for Memorial Weekend, but I presume it'll be going on a little bit longer than that.
Home and
So,
Garden has a challenging hunt too.
oh, they do, don't they?
Yeah, it's supposed to
Yes,
be kind of difficult.
yeah,
Worth trying, like fun challenging.
yeah.
Hmm.
They're the best ones. You get really really frustrated, then you find ways.
Yes.
Then you and then you think, "Oh, I'm going to give up on this hunt, and then you think, hang on, I can cheat. And then if that doesn't work, you really do abandon it.
I know, right?
It's a bad job.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
What
Well,
else?
this was an interesting day. Again.
Mm.
Thank you, Mel.
Dark Moon, India.
Ooh,
Do we know of that one?
no. I'm writing these down.
I think the sim is called Dark Moon, and it's a build. It's an Indian, as in Indian subcontinent kind of build. Sounded interesting. I'll quickly open this link. When it comes up, I've got a list of ending soon hunts. They've probably ended already by now. Wagon People Hunt. Yeah, that finished today. Breast cancer awareness hunts. That finishes today, but you still got time to rush into that one. Yeah,
Well, people can
yeah.
watch
Well, yeah,
Happy Hunting. Also.
indeed.
Hmm.
Happy
which-
hunting. Yeah.
Yep. Great
Indeed,
show.
yes, of course. Yeah. When's next Happy Hunting? That would be this coming Friday, wouldn't it?
Friday we have a screening,
Yeah.
and we'll tape on the 7th again. And
Right.
then the 21st will be our last taping, the 21st of June, and we'll pick it back up in about a month. We're going to take July off, basically.
Fair enough.
And relax.
I don't
Enjoy the
know.
weather.
It'll be about 3 major events. Over the course of that month, I don't think there's going to be a lot of relaxed time for some of us.
Yeah, the summer season is well truly upon us, and endless things to contend with. As soon as the birthday's over, we'll be
Partying.
we'll be on the main phase. We'll be leading up to the main phase of Relay for Life, and the weekend, as I will constantly being told off for going to telethon weekend.
Yeah, right.
And immediately after that, we got Virtual World's First Practices in education too. So it's all these
And
big
then
things.
it's Christmas, right?
Oh my God! Don't even go there.
No! Don't forget Halloween. It starts
Oh,
2 months.
right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That always starts 2 months early in Second Life.
Yeah, it's every day
Yeah.
in Second Life in some people's book.
Yeah.
So, anything else on your agendas for this week before we wrap up, Sophie?
Oh God.
We have another segment coming out of
Yes.
the Art of Virtual Reality Conference. Marley Mylina's segment will be coming out. Probably be out by tomorrow.
And I.
Hmm.
And I'm the subject.
That's right. Sophia submits to public self-psychoanalysis and bravely and really.
Oh
It was a
God.
marvelous exercise. You really showed us a lot. I mean, just how the whole concept works. I was thrilled to see it.
Well, you know what Marley's also doing? She uses the objects, the geometric shapes, that present some of your feelings. But now she's got a drawing tool, and
Ooh.
so the people draw images that reflect themselves. She's quite a person. I mean, it's really interesting to follow what she's doing and how she's how she interacts with her clients.
It really shows her passion. She finds every way she can to connect with people.
Yeah.
And she uses modern technology. She uses the wisdom of somebody who understands people and cares enough about them to try to help them. She's a psychologist, Malantara, or is she a psychiatrist? I don't know her
In
exact
real life.
level in real life, and she's using Second Life as a tool, which you'll see exactly what she does on the video that will come out tomorrow. It's on the long
Great.
side, but it's well worth a watch.
Yeah.
There've been so many. I thought we'd finished all the
I
videos.
know.
They were great.
I'm just
I'm
starting.
sorry.
I'm just
I
getting
know.
started.
We'll have to build a DVD of them, I think.
I know. Well,
I think Sophia suggested that.
Lapician. Well, I usually do make I make DVDs of all my films, so I can play them on my TV.
I have
Yeah,
friends doing that.
same here. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know we had a lot of speakers, and it was like a marathon. It lasted all day, and Lapician, I think he was exhausted, but he had fun, and we fit a lot in so that we can take a little bit of time off in the summer, and we have all that to review over time, and we've got it all documented. So, and Pet Love, we both have a great perspective and of that event, which I think is a wealth of information.
Hmm. It is.
Yeah, it really is.
Sure.
I mean, we both just sat there when Zach was explaining how, like the details that he goes through, how he dissected how a performer
He's a
just,
musician, and
yeah,
he
he's a musician.
sang and played guitar for us. Yeah,
Hmm.
and
Oh,
he
Zach
explained the
Claxton.
process. Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it was
I
very
can-
interesting. Because we just assume a lot, you know.
Do I
I know I do.
But we don't realize how complicated some things can be for a person to just sit here virtually and entertain us. But it becomes, old hat, like riding a bike.
Some years ago, I interviewed, in real life, in fact, the bass player for the virtual live band.
Uh-huh.
And that was an education because, of course, they're four musicians who mix live and perform from all over the world.
Is that the
Yes,
Invisible
yes.
Band?
What you're hearing is such a complex setup, involving prediction of the person that's playing with. Sometimes I think the music's a bit simplistic because they have to go with all this.
Yeah,
Because
it's
of
not
the delay.
It's not real
Yeah.
time for them, really. Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what he did. He mentioned the delay.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, what you're talking about, Mel, is actually kind of complicated for those people to collaborate across the globe to create a composition of something
Yeah.
that sounds pleasant or not pleasant. But yeah, that's a complicated thing, and I think that's becoming pretty popular. People like to do that.
Mm. Well, it's like
That
French.
virtual, excuse me, the chorus, the virtual chorus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, neat.
I'm trying to think. Paisley.
Hmm.
Phoebe, she participated in that, and in the first one. There's a professor from some university, a musician, composer, who started this thing with people around the world singing their part, and then it becomes a virtual chorus, like not an orchestra, but just a beautiful sounding body of work from
Hmm.
people all over the world. Someday I'm going to try that.
Cool. Good.
Great.
Oh dear.
Okay, well, I think we better wrap. Petlove is also noting we've been over the 2-hour mark today.
Oh,
Well, we love the ad lib. We'll go on forever, but there is
That's
a
the
point.
truth.
There is a point.
I'm tired.
I think it's about time, if she didn't exhaust herself taking over introducing this show from me, to turn back to Tara for her traditional wrap-up.
Well, we survived. Yes, that was. I know, Mal. Some time ago, you made some comment about me starting a show. Well, that
Today was
ended
the
up being
day.
the case today. I
had
wasn't ready, but I managed to stumble
She
through it
dove
all.
right
So.
in.
Yeah.
It
Well,
had to happen.
I hope everyone who has a long weekend enjoys the rest of it. It looks like the sun is actually trying to finally come out here, which would be kind of nice because it's been pretty soggy today up until now. So, and I have some work to do in SL10B Sims here.
Yay.
I have a little project that I'm working on, and you won't hear about it you won't hear anything of consequence about it until it's actually built.
Smart.
Yes. I learned a long time ago not to spill the beans when I've got an idea that I'm that I'm pursuing until it's well under wraps.
never know how it's going to
Well,
work
you
out.
know,
Yeah.
that was the thing with me submitting the film. I'm like always wondering. I used to always like submit something early, like almost first, and then like I started to say, oh, gee, maybe I should just like hold off until like the last day so that nobody sees it. But then you want people to see it and sit on it for a while to say, do you know what? Gee, I like that.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's not so much of the unveiling piece of it.
Hmm.
It's the how much you talk about a project in progress.
Sure.
And I learned a long time ago that aside from if I'm stuck on something and I request very specific feedback from one person, as distinct from spilling the beans generally about, oh, I have this idea, blah 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 blah.
Right.
That's not a good idea. That doesn't work very
No.
well for me. That tends to short circuit my creativity. Just
Yeah.
right, shuts me right up. So anyway, so have a great week, everyone, and I'll
Thank you.
Yep. You
You
too.
thank
too,
you both for
Tara.
being here and for
Welcome.
putting up with the shenanigans of the gremlins that were having such a good time with Mal's voice.
That's right, Mal. You're going to have to fumigate now.
We know them well.
Indeed. I think I am, aren't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we'll call it a wrap. It has been a wonderful show. I suspect we could go on for several hours with just us, actually. So it's been
Yeah.
wonderful show. Thank you for joining us again, Pet Love, and of course, thank you for filming.
My pleasure.
And my thanks in absentia to Dizzy Banjo, who was here earlier, and certainly looking forward to the return of Message in a Bottle, albeit maybe not in a bottle. And extra special thanks to Sophia.
Thank you. Thank you
Really
for
good
having
to
me.
see you again, and it's been really interesting chat. So covered lots there, and we'll have to have you back. We're sort of open shows. Anytime you
Sure.
feel like
That's right.
popping in, let us know,
I will. I will.
and we'll find a seat.
Keep every Sunday open.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
One of these days, we'll have to make the audience area the stage. and
I know, right?
put a couple of people on these chairs as the audience.
There is such a thing as a giant Skype call.
Yeah. Is there really?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
There
God.
is. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
that with Microsoft, it doesn't always function very well.
Thank you, Debs.
We manage anyway. And yes, thank you to everybody who's been partaking. Deb's Regent and Bevan. Joel has
Debs,
really
Yeah.
arrived.
Bevan,
Everybody
Emma.
in the channel chat. Yes,
We
Emma.
should
and-
start calling out, shouting out their names.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Well, that's an idea. We'll have a
Court.
weekly roll call for people who actually have the energy to log into the live
That's
channel.
right,
to watch
Kathy.
it.
Yeah, because we have some loyal listeners.
Augustman, as always. It's a fellow Chilbo in here. And I'm surprised he doesn't come live because he lives in Chilbo here. But
I had seen him in chat probably for a year or two since I've been streaming, and then one day I discovered his art, and I was like, "How cool! Who knew?" You know?
Oh,
The
really?
man's an amazing artist. I never knew.
He has a
Ah.
gallery. He has a
I-
gallery.
True.
I
Just round,
stumbled on it,
he has a gallery just round the corner here.
and
in
it's
Chilbo.
really neat stuff. Everybody
Really?
go! Yeah, it's real
And
neat.
he usually also has exhibits at the UWA in the.
Yes, I saw some pieces over there the other day.
Yeah.
I had to do a blog. I didn't mention the blog that I'm covering for a friend of mine, for Sunset Quinnell, who curates museums in SL and real life.
Oh, right.
And she's on vacation. I help her. Her native language is other than English, and so she has me proofread her English section for her.
All right.
So, but she also sent me over to UWA, and I saw Corkusman's stuff there too. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
But it was great.
Yeah. Well, if you're still watching, it's absolute silence in the channel chat, so you may not be around anymore. But if you're still
They think we
watching,
left.
good on you, Coco.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. Once again, thanks everybody. It's been a great show. We will be back same time, same place next week, and probably the week after. We might even have a special show from the opening of the birthday build, if I've got my dates right. But
Good.
we'll be here next week anyway. That's for sure. Wherever we are, we're either in Chilbo. We're always on live stream, of course. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for being here. And when you're ready, the pets, we'll do that little
Do our
cut.
little thing.
And I will then show the audience a whole load of wonderful new clips, including about 6 new ones, including Sophia's, of course, from the UWA Reflections contest, and much more besides, including one very long form machinima near the end. So we'll see you later. Bye for now.
Okay.
Thank you.